Welcome everyone to another edition of The Association. I'm Jerry Riles, your host, along with our NBA analyst. He is the one, the only Dr. Lloyd Walton. And Doctor, first, it's a pleasure to see you and once again join you on the weekly podcast, The Association.
Let's do it, man. I enjoyed myself immensely last week.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great, man. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, inform our audience and fans of sports.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You know what? It's always a pleasure, but unfortunately, since the last time we had an opportunity to talk, tragedy has hit the NBA world, the NBA family, of course the sports world, not only locally, nationally, here in the United States, but internationally as well, with the unexpected passing, the tragedy that occurred with Kobe Bryant, his young daughter Gianna, and 7 other passengers in a helicopter crash this past weekend. Your reflections when you heard the news?
Well, it's just been extremely difficult. I was actually in my car driving, and a friend of mine who I was going to meet called me.
Okay.
And he gave me the news that was not believable. Kobe has died. He was in a helicopter. I'm not believing that. Okay, so I'm like, man, stop. I'm on my way. I thought he was kidding me because I was running a little late. So he says, no, Luck. They call me Lucky Lloyd, but no, Luck, man. This is for real. So now I'm pulling over, and he reiterates the news, and now my phone is just going off. Texts, call, everything is just happening, and it took me about 10 minutes to be able to get myself together. Seriously,
Sure.
I was stunned. As I said before, it was just something I couldn't believe initially. Once I got myself together, meaning that, okay, you have to put the car in drive. Okay, seriously, you have to look and make sure nobody's coming. I had to go through that process. So once I got to where he was, and the TV was on, we were at a cigar bar actually, and then you start getting all this information, and extremely difficult. I'll just say this though, because things every day gets better, obviously, for everybody. I think one of the things that came out of this for me was that I don't care whether you are an athlete, everyday person, black, white, it doesn't matter. 41 years of age is too young to die.
Sure.
So, that the sports part, okay, I've been an athlete all my life. I've seen very few people that achieve like Kobe achieved, but 41, period, still is too young to die. The other part that got me, Jerry, was that when we have children, our children from a very, very early age always look to us for protection. To protect them, to make things right, if you will, when things are going wrong. And in most cases, fathers and daughters have a very, very special relationship. I don't have to really say that. That was quite obvious from all the photos that you've seen, all the video that you've seen of Gianna and Kobe. But what I focused on more was just really bad, but it was the fact of the matter that with those last 10 seconds or so of this helicopter spinning around out of control, and this young girl who has always looked to her father and depended on her father to make it right. For the first time in her life, there was nothing that he could do. And I think when I look at it as a father, none of us want to be in that position with our children.
Right.
Being able to make it right is what we do. We soften the blow. We shield you from the blow. And at this moment in time, everything that he's been able to do with all of his kids, but this one in particular, there was nothing he could do.
Right.
And that just resonated with me. Like as a father, how do you put in this kind of position and there's nothing you could do? How do you reconcile that you don't?
It's at that point in time, I think, Doc, And our hearts and prayers go out to Vanessa and the rest of the family. But I believe you talk about and reflect on the last 10 seconds in that situation. Kobe was a man of faith, a Catholic, my understanding, and I would imagine that he and Gianna and the other 7 passengers would have put it in God's hands at that time. You pray, they're in a better place, and as they say, there's no more pain and misery and agony. But it must have been a very incredible, difficult situation to be in. And again, we have to remember the other 7 members that perished in the helicopter accident in Calabasas, California, this past weekend. And like you, in disbelief. I was at home actually watching, the Farmers Insurance golf with Tiger Woods, because it's Sunday. Right. Tiger Woods is in the running. I think he was 5 behind the leader, and whenever Tiger is in the hunt on Sunday, my routine, my ritual is to plant myself in front of the television and watch from start to finish. And so after the second shot on the second hole, which was a tremendous shot by Tiger Woods, he actually hit his second shot. It bounced twice, hit the flagstick, and went into the hole, and then bounced out.
Oh, it came out.
It came out.
Wow.
And rested feet away from the cup. So that was the sports moment of the day at the time. And the announcer said that you will see this shot all over the world tonight on ESPN and other sports outlets, because it was an incredible shot. Again, his second shot, 2 bounces, hits the flagstick, goes into the hole, and then bounces out. Within a matter of 15 to 20 minutes, I got the text from a good friend of mine. His wife sent it to me that Kobe had perished in a helicopter crash, in a helicopter accident in California. And my reaction, similar to yours, was, what? In all caps is what I responded, in disbelief. And I searched the major outlets, CNN, ESPN, the local channels, and I got no report, because TMZ reported the initial story. And they are pretty good at what they do, and they're pretty factual, and they're pretty detailed as far as getting the facts together. And so when I saw that, I knew, but didn't want to know, that it was true.
Right.
And of course, maybe within a half hour after is when all the other reports start to come in. ESPN had it on the Pro Bowl. Lisa Salters, she broke down, because that's when she received the news. Tiger Woods, when he finished playing Farmers Insurance golf outing, he was told by his caddy, and
as soon as he walked off.
Exactly, and he said, "Excuse me," because he couldn't believe it.
Right.
And then the shockwave just took on a life of its own. And we have to say, this is the association, the podcast of Dr. Lloyd Walton, a 6-time NBA player with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's currently the NBA Players Association life coach and counselor. You can check him out every Thursday on his podcast. And if you happen to miss it, just Google the association with Dr. Lloyd Walton, and you'll certainly be able to find him. And you want to definitely be a part of his growing podcast as we move forward. As far as what you've been able to embrace, gather, and observe, of course, you in communication with a lot of these players, past and current. What has been your experience in communicating with these players regarding what happened with Kobe and his daughter and the 7 other passengers?
To a man, we have 450 players in our league, active players, and many others around the country, obviously, but particularly here in Chicago. Everybody's stunned beyond belief. And when I think about our 450 players, Kobe was their MJ. If you lived in Chicago in the 90s, MJ was meant the world to you.
Right.
Right? And I never thought anybody could surpass that. And this is the sad part, and the irony is that I don't know if Kobe had, prior to this, so much has come out about the kind of giving person he is.
Right.
And I think I shared this on 360 Rewind, was that, he appeared to be the most selfish player while playing, but the most unselfish player when he was off the court. I cannot tell you how many people, how many young players, how many young women, how many NBA players that he opened up his heart to, opened up his knowledge to. It's unbelievable how much he gave back. An inspiration to so many. The sad part for me is like, why don't we know this prior to this, right? It puts him at another level, in my opinion, right?
Right.
Anybody who has achieved the kind of things that he achieved, 9 straight first defensive teams, 18 straight years, all-stars. I mean, all of this kind of stuff, which is all important and good. But the part to me is like inspiring others to be better.
Right.
And I'm in this league for now going on 40 years. I didn't know his reach was that far. I didn't know he was that selfless of a guy. Okay? And I just wish we had known that while he was living, so more people could have shared their appreciation of him and seen him in a little bit of a different light than what they saw him in.
You know what, Doc? I think he was evolving into that because this was the second phase of his life after basketball, and he admitted that he had gotten away from the game. And Gianna, his 13-year-old GiGi, is what brought him back to the game.
Right.
And we know the story where they were walking down the street, I think outside the Staples Center, and there was a fan that said, "Hey, Kobe, you got to have a son," because he had 4 daughters. You got to have a son, to keep your legacy going. And GiGi stepped in and said, "No, I got this." And like you said, we've seen the video, we've seen the clips. He's working out with her. She gives him the push off, and then she steps back and she drains a mid-range jumper. So I think he was evolving into that person. Away from the game, because we know what he has contributed not only to his girls and to the youth, but the importance of girls and women and what they can do in this world as far as being leaders are concerned. Sure. And we know his impact and his support of the WNBA. But I think all of this started to manifest itself and start to build itself prior to the tragedy. But you're absolutely right. We did not know the magnitude of what Kobe brought to the league, again, leaving the game, because he reached back to the younger players. And you shared with us that he's communicated with at least 20, 25 players, talking to them about how they can improve their game and how they can elevate themselves to the next level.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you, but I think he was in the process of building that new life for himself after basketball. And I love the fact that you shared with us on the Rewind Sports 60 that with you being a life coach and a counselor, and that these players have to come and meet with you to try to prepare themselves for life after basketball. And after 7 years, Kobe came to you and said, "Hey, Doc, I got this. I'm good. I'll pay the fine, and I'm good."
We have meetings with our players every year, all the teams. And every year we have a different theme, about how do you prepare yourself. Because we want them to prepare themselves while they're playing so the transition could be smooth. And in some cases, it's going to be so good, it's going to be seamless, like Kobe's was, for example. And what I'm leading to is that if you don't come to the meeting, you get fined $25,000, okay? And I think it was after the 7th year, Kobe wouldn't come to any more meetings. He said, "I got this, I'm good, y'all," okay? And you know what? He proved it. Okay, and the word is that when he retired, within 48 hours, the next 2 days, he was in his business office at 8 o'clock in the morning working on business, right? And then you see him getting an Oscar, right, the following year. So when he said, "I got this," he wasn't telling a lie. He had it, right?
He had it.
And he epitomizes, this is unfortunate, but it's an example that we will use in some way, shape, form, or fashion going forward, right? About preparation. Right? His preparation, he epitomizes what we want our players to do. We want you to be prepared for the next phase of your life, whatever that is. That's what we're there to do, is to help you navigate to that through that process,
right,
so that you're ready to go. And there's no downtime, right? You don't miss anything, because if you don't prepare, more than likely you're going to experience some frustration, some disappointment, and we don't want to say depression, right? Which could lead to other things of that nature. So you want to be prepared, just like you're prepared for the games. We want you to be prepared for that game of life, because it's coming.
Right.
I don't care how long. Kobe played 20 years. He's done now.
Right.
You know, Vince Carter, this is his 22nd year.
Yeah.
But it's coming to end. But Vince also came to our sports program, right? And went through the whole process of learning what it is to be a sportscaster. Sitting there writing his script like, you know, sportscasters do, being able to tell the lay person what's going on, being able to articulate that. So he epitomized it, and it's so unfortunate, but hopefully our players take that little bit of piece of how ready he was to move on with his life, right? Yeah. Because if it wasn't for GiGi, his daughter, he probably would continue away from basketball.
Sure.
But she made him come back in because of her love for the game. And most dads are like everybody else, like, if you're going to play, I'm going to teach you the game. And what better person than her dad to teach her?
Exactly, because he was definitely one of the best that ever laced him up to play in the National Basketball Association. This is the association, the podcast of Dr. Lloyd Walton. I'm Jerry Riles, the host. And, you know, Doc, I want to get to, you mentioned Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant early in this podcast here, and we know the obsession, and can we use that word fairly, the obsession that Kobe Bryant had to emulate Michael Jordan. We saw his game evolve into a Jordan-esque style of play, from the lean back, you know, to the push off and the fade, you know, the quick fade jumper that he had, even from the tongue, so to speak, all the mannerisms, even in his post game press conferences, you can hear an inflection of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it was he had a conversation. You can help me out with this. I don't know if he had a conversation with Tracy McGrady or whatever the case may be, but some speculate that his obsession, he wanted to be better and bigger than Michael Jordan. And it's alleged that he stated, the only way that I can surpass Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time is if I died. Had you heard anything like that?
No. That escaped me. I never heard anything like that. I can't even imagine that. But I will say this, that Kobe was obsessed with being the best he could be, and he had to have something to shoot for, like we all do. And it was Michael Jordan, right? I want to be better than this guy. I want to learn from this guy. So he walked like him. He wore his wristband where he wore his. He talked like him. He emulated all of that. So that happens. And I heard a great quote from John Sally, who was Michael's teammate as well as Kobe's. He said, Michael was the master, and Kobe became the grandmaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was one hell of a saying.
It is a hell of a saying. It is a hell of a saying.
I just think that he was obsessed with being the best he could be, and failure was not an option. I hear that term, I hear that quote all the time. Failure is not an option. Very few people live like that.
Right.
He lived like that.
Yeah.
You know, I heard them talking about Miami when the Lakers played in Miami, when Miami had D Wade, LeBron, was Bosh, right? Miami wins the game. I think it's game 5 or game 6. Miami wins the game, right? So D Wade and them, they go in the locker room, they get dressed and what have you. They're dressed to go to leave, and they're walking out, and one of the trainers go and grabs them and says, "Come here, I want to show y'all something." Who was in the gym?
Right.
He didn't get dressed.
Right.
He's still out there shooting.
Yeah.
And the story is that Ray Allen was guarding Kobe that night and hit him on the wrist like 2 or 3 times.
Exactly.
Right. Didn't call it. Right.
Yeah.
So he's got his trainer out there hitting him on the wrist when he shoots, and he's putting up 500 shots.
Right.
Because if they're not going to call it, I want to be able to still make it.
Yeah.
And so the story goes that LeBron and D Wade then says, "Well, we're going to change our clothes, and we're going to work out in our other gym."
Right.
Right. And so it was the competition, but it was his desire to be the very, very best that he could be. And again, I don't know many people who push it to the edge like that.
Yeah.
Who's just obsessed. I don't care what. I'm going to find out how to do it. And I've heard a myriad of different stories, even about when he wanted to rap, okay? what he went through. I heard about how he wanted when he knew he was going to be able to guard Allen Iverson.
Right.
How he went and got 10 guys who wanted 10 of the best ball handlers in New York, and went one-on-one with all of them because he knew he had to guard Allen Iverson. So these are just the kind of things when you are obsessed with trying to be the best.
Right.
These are the measures that you'll go to so it can bring out the best in you so you're ready when the time comes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and he certainly, those are stories, again, that are coming out regarding, and of course, you're close to the game, you were, aware of many of these stories, but publicly they're coming out to show you what type of athlete and the determination that Kobe Bryant brought to the game. It's interesting that he was so close to going to the LA Clippers, right?
Yeah,
the great
that one I didn't know.
Right,
that one I didn't
Jerry
know.
West.
I heard Jerry West.
Yeah,
say
he said that he had the talk. He said he was a father figure of Kobe Bryant in the latter part of his, his playing days and his life. And Kobe was so upset with everything that was going on with the Lakers that he was close to signing with the LA Clippers. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to do it." And Jerry West had to talk him off the ledge and say, "Kobe, you cannot do this. You cannot do this."
Right. Well, you know what? Two things come to mind. We talked about on 360. He even came to Chicago. He didn't just talk about it.
Right.
He even came to Chicago, and him and Vanessa looked for a house here because he wanted to get out of a situation.
How real was that, Doc?
I think it was very, very real. Very real. Anytime you get on a plane and take a ride that far, 2,000 miles,
right,
to come look for a house, come on, man. You really saying, I'm getting ready to do this?
Well, because I was, obviously in the media, and we're covering, the Bulls, and because we know the Bull, struggles of the Bulls post Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
And so we've heard all of these, rumors, about LeBron possibly. We tried to lure him to Chicago, Kobe, of course, and it was speculation, of course, that anyone that could buy Michael Jordan's house in Highland Park would be Kobe Bryant. And so we covered the story, and we put it out there. But I don't know if the Chicago Bulls fan base really believed that this guy was going to come here to Chicago and play for the Bulls, because part of the conversation was that he didn't want to be in the shadow of Michael Jordan, having Michael winning 6 championships here with the Bulls in Chicago, and his legacy. We felt that Kobe he wanted to be his own man. He did not want to come and more or less play in the shadow of Michael Jordan being a Chicago Bull.
I don't see that. And think about this: what you've learned, what we've all learned in the past 72 hours,
right?
Of how obsessed he was. Do you really think he cared? He don't care. He didn't care. He wanted to be the best, and they weren't winning in L.A. They missed the playoffs, right?
Well, we weren't winning either, but
no, I'm saying that, yeah, but being able to come somewhere else, they weren't as bad. Bulls weren't as in bad shape as the Lakers were,
right?
So, do you think he really was going to go to the Clippers? Yeah, you would say yes,
right?
And they had a terrible franchise. His guy was so obsessed with winning and being the best. I think it was really real. But as a fan, if I was a fan, then I'm like, okay, he's coming to Chicago, but he came to look at the house, but he ain't put nothing down.
Right. Right.
Did you put something on it?
Right.
But I think it was very real.
Okay.
I've been in situations where I've been gone all the way up to that point,
right,
and something happens, whether there's new information, a change of heart, or something like that, and then I change my mind. So I think it was very real. Anytime you want to explore the possibility to that degree,
sure,
it's real.
Got you. I got you. So now let's move forward. We got NBA All-Star Weekend coming here to Chicago, and again, this is really, a tragedy that occurred, and it rocked the entire planet. For one day, D. Wade said, for one day, Kobe Bryant stopped the world, with this tragedy that unfolded because, of his connections internationally. He was a big soccer fan, of course. We know that. You said he was versed in 4 different languages.
Right.
So he literally, the news of Kobe Bryant's death stopped the entire world for at least one day, 24-hour period. And, the family, directly, Vanessa came out with a statement and said she appreciates the support of the entire NBA family, the entire world, and the Los Angeles Lakers family. Jeannie Buss, the president for the Los Angeles Lakers also came out with a statement and said they're going to continue to move on and do what Kobe would want everyone to do. Shaquille O'Neal, with the Super Bowl this weekend, has a big party planned down in Miami, and he said his initial thought was to cancel it. And then he said, hey, what would Kobe do? And he's going for it. They're going to have the party down in Miami, but all the proceeds are going to go to the family members who perished, in the helicopter accident as well. But as far as the NBA and the All-Star game here being in Chicago, what do you anticipate Chicago trying to do and the NBA trying to do to honor Kobe? Because I know the Bulls played the other night at the United Center, and they had a 24-second moment of silence in honor of Kobe wearing the number 24, and then the players and the team, San Antonio Spurs, there was an 8-second count, and then a 24-second violation by both teams to honor Kobe Bryant. What do you think the NBA and the Chicago Bulls and the city of Chicago will try to do to honor and remember Kobe during an All-Star weekend?
One person I don't want us to forget, David Stern.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Who passed away 3 weeks ago. Okay. So this has really rocked the basketball world, particularly the NBA. So I think they're going to do, and obviously I don't know, but we have some very creative people in the NBA family. So they're going to come up with something very, very special to honor Kobe, Gianna, David Stern, and the rest of the families that perished in the helicopter crash. It'll be special. I think it'll be very moving and touching. I think that people will actually be there, will be moved to tears.
Sure.
As will those people who are watching via television. But this is a special time, man. It's very different. And I'll be personal. I work for Michael, okay, and I've been a big fan of his for a long, long period of time. And this is it's just I did not know. I didn't realize just because I'm a Chicagoan,
right? So
I saw the admiration and the love for Michael. Now Michael's still living, right? But this thing that's happened worldwide of Kobe is something to behold, and unfortunately it's the wrong reason to behold. But this is a special time, man. It made people think about people they had not good relationships with. Right? People that they weren't talking to. Like, I need to resolve this, this beef or this distance that I have for people. And when you can move people to start talking about mending relationships, you're a special kind of person. I mean, let me just say, I've had former teammates who text me about other things, and the things that they said was, love you, bro. I'm one of my best friends, man. And I haven't seen him in a while, text me about something else, and his closing words were, love you, bro. You know what I'm saying? When you get people, men, women, kids, beginning to think about how much they care and how this life that we have is so damn fleeting. Right? You're here today and you're gone tomorrow, and everybody has something to do tomorrow, but not everybody's not going to make tomorrow. And we don't know who that is. Right? And so you want to kind of reconcile your differences with people. You want to get things, as my grandmother would say, get your life in order.
Get it in order.
Right? And so when someone like him unfortunately loses his life and makes everybody else start thinking about what they need to do to get their life right. It's a special kind of person.
World stage, man. World stage, and you're absolutely right. The thought crossed my mind, of course, and we love Michael Jordan here in Chicago. And one reason I wasn't as big a fan of Kobe Bryant is because I understand you emulate a player and you admire what they bring to the game. But I thought he took too much of Michael's game to apply it to himself, instead of taking a bit of Michael's game and creating, and he did create it, the Black Mamba. He created the Black Mamba. But it was so much, like you said, walk like him, talk like him, play like him, the whole 9 yards. And that's why I asked the question, had you heard that, he said the only way I can be bigger than Michael Jordan is if I died. And there, I don't know if it's accurate or not. I think Tracy McGrady had a conversation with Kobe, and it was mentioned, and Tracy was like, I don't want to hear you say that. I don't want to hear you say that. But he has reached a magnitude with his untimely death that he has touched the entire world. And again, Dwayne Wade, former teammate at the Miami Heat, said, hey, for a day, this guy stopped the world. For a day, he stopped the world. What are your thoughts and reaction to players giving up the number 24, giving up the number 8 out of respect for Kobe around the league?
Well, I think that's a personal, how you want to call it, admiration and respect for him. I don't have a problem with it. If that's what you want to do, then do that, because we think about those people who cannot do that visibly, right? They don't play the game. They're not giving up 24. Everybody does it in their own way to pay respect to him. I mean, I don't take much to it. You change it to 24, you change it to 8.
Now, so they got rid of 8 and 24 and took on another number because they felt that the number shouldn't be worn again. But our own Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine, who wears number 8, as of this podcast, he said, "Hey, I'm not changing numbers.
That's my point. So, some guys changed, some guys didn't, but I don't have a problem with it either way.
Okay.
If the league allows you to continue to wear it, I just don't see the reason why you would stop everybody from wearing it. Now, I know that Mark Cuban came out of the Dallas Mavericks, the owner, and said, nobody will ever wear number 8. I don't have a problem with that.
Good. Okay.
I think you pay the respects the way you think that makes you comfortable.
Do you think something like where baseball is
Jackie Robinson?
Exactly.
Wow. On a special day that everybody wore that number, I think that's a hell of a tribute to him.
Right.
I think it's a hell of a tribute.
Right.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. This time next year,
sure,
on that day, everybody wore the same number. That would be, hey man, that would be a great thing to do.
The All-Star game we talk about here in Chicago as well is, some ideas and thoughts went out that all the players should wear, and we've seen the jerseys around, the country where fans have the Lakers jersey with the number 8 on the front and the number 24 in the back. Do you think players for the NBA All-Star weekend will, take that notion and because we pretty much know all the All-Stars who are in the game. Visually, we can identify who those players are. Do you think that's something that may be considered again to honor and respect Kobe?
I don't know. What about if the East wore 8 and the West wore 24?
Yeah.
All the players.
Yeah.
There's a number of different ways you can pay, homage to a guy like him. I just think it's up in the air, and like I said before, the NBA will come up with some very creative ways to do that. My only thoughts are about, so how do you do it for David Stern, who basically built this league into a global, right? So how do you pay, what's your tribute to him? How do you do that? How do you show your appreciation for someone like him? You can't leave him out. Right. This league was going nowhere. Right. When David took over.
It was terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
We were on tape delayed, man.
Yeah.
So both of them need to be honored in a very respectful way. I just don't know how do you do it, but I don't want anybody, and I know that the NBA is not going to do it. I don't want anybody to be left out. Right. Even paying tribute to those families, the Altabellis and family, right? Yeah. And the other family that was there. You just got to find a way you do it where it's respectful and everybody can appreciate it and everybody knows why. I don't really, because it's an NBA event. I don't want to forget those other people. Right. I don't want to forget David Stern. I don't want to forget those other families. Their lives were just as important to their families and friends as Kobe's was to his family and friends and us who are basketball fans. Right. But we have to realize and know that everybody is not a basketball fan. That's exactly right. Right? That's just the way it is. But we want to make sure that people know how much we appreciated him while he was here. So they'll find a way to do that in a very classy way. I'm sure they will. And I'm glad you mentioned the other passengers who were on that helicopter with Kobe and Gianna. And the one family, the Antabelli family, is what stands out because John and Carrie and Alyssa, a teammate of Gianna,
were on that helicopter. And when I heard that they had 2 other children, I think Alexa and TJ, that's when I lost it, dude. That's when I lost it, because I said these 2 kids lost their parent and their sister. Lost both their parents and their sister. And I could not handle that. I mean, it was tough with Kobe and Gianna.
Right.
GiGi. That was tough. But when I heard that these 2 young people will never see their mom and dad again and their sister, that's a tough one.
Hey man, I can't even imagine. I don't want to even imagine what your life is like that, when your lifeline, everything that you wish for and hope for, are 2 people that provided for you.
Yeah.
You're good, you're bad.
Yeah.
You're cold, here's the medicine, right?
Yeah.
You're cold, here's be warm. I'm at a loss. I don't even know what you do. What do you think?
Yeah.
I just hope that they have a loving extended family.
Sure.
That were able to wrap their arms around them, and a community.
Well, John's brother is the sports information director for the college, I believe, that John was a coach of, and the entire community reached out, to his brother and extended, their arms, their hands, their love. So I'm sure that the 2 kids will be embraced by that, but there's no way to even comprehend, moving forward from something like that. And it also, the news came out that apparently Vanessa and Kobe had an agreement that they would not fly at the same time on a helicopter, which there are a lot of parents and spouses that will
don't do that, right?
Yeah,
they refuse to go.
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
which makes sense. But there are other spouses and family members that say, hey,
we're going together.
Exactly.
If we're going to go together.
Exactly.
But here's another thing that I found out, who came out and spoke, Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
Used that same pilot.
Right.
To go from Los Angeles to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very unfortunate situation, man. Life is unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's the bottom line. It's unpredictable. And here again, we are reminded that we should enjoy it to its fullest each and every day.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm going to try to do.
You know what? And we enjoy doing this podcast with you. We're in the early stages. And again, if you miss any portion of it, you can check us out on Spotify. You can check us out on SoundCloud. And, of course, the RewindSports60.com. And we'll be on many other outlets as we continue to grow. But every Thursday, you got the association with Dr. Lloyd Walton, and of course yours truly, Jerry Riles. Before we say goodbye, I want to ask you, as far as the league is concerned, the game itself, what do you see? Because again, we got the All-Star weekend coming up in a matter of a couple of weeks. And then that's when, typically from a fan's perspective, is when teams start to, sort of put the pedal to the metal and start gearing up for postseason play and jockeying for position, right? It's kind of like the Derby, right?
Yeah.
When you get around that quarter mile and then you get around that half mile, then here they come spinning around and everybody's jockeying for position. That's pretty much the analysis that we see from a sports fan's perspective. That after the All-Star break, man, hey, it's time to get in position. How do you see this tragedy coming into full form and motivating these athletes to play the best they possibly can, and getting back to business, trying to get into the playoffs?
Let me say this: I don't think that Kobe's death is going to motivate any players or teams more than they are already motivated.
So you don't. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you don't think that. Because I think again, we talk about how he touched the world, and I think like you said, people now are reaching out to their loved ones or people they had a beef with and say, hey man, I love you and I'm sorry. You don't think that will transcend into the transfer over to the game itself, and these people saying, these athletes saying, you know what, I'm going to push myself a little bit more. I'm going to show my dedication and my pride and respect for Kobe of this game, and I'm going to play a little bit harder. I'm going to make that extra pass. I'm going to play a little bit not to say that they weren't doing it, but
You are who you are.
okay.
You are who you are.
Right.
And, on an individual basis, there's something that the DNA that you're made of, and everybody has different DNA.
Right.
Okay? Something happening outside of you, for the most part, is not going to change who you are. And if it changes who you are, that's going to be temporary. You're going to be who you are. Okay? That's my assessment.
Okay.
I think that there are guys who he's worked with, who he's been a mentor to, will look at this a little bit differently, and think about things a little bit differently. Will that translate into how they play? I don't know that.
Okay.
Everybody cannot be what he was.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It was a special kind of focus, desire, work ethic that he had. You can't just get that because of something happening. Right? That takes a while to get to that point. And I hate even using the expression, the mama mentality. I hate even using that. But you can't be the mama mentality just like that. This happened a long time ago.
That's true.
So I don't think that that's going to happen. But in any case, though, All-Star break, and I'm looking at the East. Okay. The East is so bad. It's so bad.
Right.
Look,
Right.
our beloved Bulls are in the 9th spot.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm telling you.
They got 19 wins.
Thank you. I was getting ready to say that. They're in the 9th spot in the East. These guys are about to, check this out, about to lose their way into the playoffs. Right? I watched a little bit of the game last night. Here again.
Yeah.
They were up, I don't know, I think 7 minutes with 2 minutes to go or something like that. Anyway, they lost the doggone game.
Yeah, 7 points with like 4:36 to go in the game.
Okay.
Go on.
But they lost the game. And then this morning when I got up and I'm just checking things out, and I said, well, let me look at the East. Where are we? I'm like, these guys are in the 9th spot.
Yeah.
They could damn well make the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
That's true. Let me ask you back to the Let me ask you back to the game last night. The Bulls were up like about 7, like I said, 4:36 or some change, and they had the momentum on their side, right? And I think they get down to even 3 minutes left in the game, and they had Mighty Mo on their side, and Jim Boylan elected to call a timeout. Okay, he elected to call a timeout. His reasoning behind it, Doc, is that, well, if we don't take that time out by a certain time in the game, I guess because of TV time or whatever, we're going to lose that timeout. And he said he did not want to lose that timeout. Therefore, he called the timeout and stopped his team's momentum. After the timeout, the Pacers came out and got back into the game. And then Oladipo hits the 3 at the end of regulation to send it to overtime. And what was puzzling, not only to some of the players, not only to the announcers, not only to the crew during the post game, but everyone was kind of puzzled. Why would the coach, who had momentum on his side and his team was winning, call a timeout? And his explanation was, I didn't want to lose it. Well, you end up losing the game.
Yeah, but let me say this. For me, and that part I did not see. I'm not going to crucify him. I got too much to crucify him for besides that timeout. Okay, and what I mean by that,
he just adds it.
But here's the thing: if I didn't want to lose the timeout and I used it right, and I call a timeout, this is the perfect time to reinsure and make sure everybody's on the same page. If you call the timeout, more likely you getting the ball when you come out of that timeout, right? Now I know we look at people look at the game differently. I get that part. I'm not crucifying him for that. What I am crucifying him for is, how do you allow Oladipo, one, to catch it? Okay, because Oladipo's been out until last night was his first game.
Right.
You let him catch it.
A year and 6 days he missed.
You don't double him as he stood out past the three-point line. He was basically at the hash. How is it that you don't take the ball out of his hand?
Right.
I don't care what.
Right.
You're not going to let him stand there, gather him set,
right,
get on balance, get the target in his view,
right,
and sit there and shoot a jumper. I don't care. You don't do that. The hell with the timeout.
Okay.
This is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. We're not going to let this guy win the game for them. We're not going to put it in overtime. Mm-hmm. But the other part of it is that I hate to say it, but what I see the Chicago Bulls is that, first of all, I would never let Zach LaVine score like that. Every shot, every time he touches it, it's very, very simple. He wants the ball, and he's going to shoot it or take it to the basket. That's all they do.
What would you do then?
First of all, if he's hot, because he's been hot,
right?
I'm going to double him, make him give the ball up.
Because as a coach, what would you do if you don't want him taking those many shots?
Well, first of all, they don't have a good offense. Offense, to me, when you have a good offense, the ball is moving,
right.
1. 2, players are moving.
Right.
From one side to the other side.
Right.
It's basic, fundamental,
right.
bitty basketball, okay?
Right.
Your bitty basketball.
Right.
Pass the ball over here, cut that way.
Right.
Come get the ball, pass it that way. Then you cut that way.
Right.
Okay, this is not rocket science.
No.
Okay? So, for me, I don't think, maybe he's got somebody calling plays or designing plays. Or, he said his claim to fame is he worked for Pop as an assistant.
Right.
I can't tell. Not with that kind of offense. Pop's offenses go from one side of the floor to the other side of the floor. People touch the ball.
Right.
And this is not what I'm seeing with them.
Right.
I'm seeing somebody who makes an exerted effort, an intentional effort to go get the ball every time so he can shoot it. You're not going to play with me like that.
Okay.
No, this is a different version of James Harden. What I tell you last week, varsity and 21 and horse.
Right.
What that kind of game reminds me of.
Right.
But this doesn't make sense. As bad as I talked about them, as bad as everybody else thinks about them, again, let's go back to, they're about to get in the playoffs.
That's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And that was the goal of this team before the season started, that they were going to make a playoff push. Now, little did we know, because in our minds, most of us covering this team, we're thinking, okay, playoff push. And of course, you kind of like in the back of your mind, you're thinking, like the Jordan era, like the Pistons, like the Celtics. Hey, okay, they're going to make the playoffs. Not that you could have a sub 500 level record and be in the 9th spot at All-Star break and still have potential to make the playoffs.
They almost have lost as many games as they've won, and they're about to make the playoffs.
It's unbelievable.
This is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Chicagoan. I like to see teams evolve, get better, and make a run at the playoffs. When they get that good, make a run at, winning the championship and things like this. I've never seen anybody back into it like this.
No, but let me ask you this question. To Jim Boylan's credit, he's got a number of players, especially his big men in the post area, that's been injured. They've been hurt. The latest with Lauri Markkanen, with the stress in his pelvic area. These guys, Wendell Carter Jr. and Gafford, they all these guys are going down due to injuries, and he's still trying to keep them afloat. Yeah, Otto Porter Jr. I mean, they're all gone down with some sort of injury, but he's still trying to keep the team afloat.
Well, let me tell you this, though. My observation is this. Even when they had them,
right,
they were losing the same way.
I know. I said in
I think that's important to acknowledge.
Right.
Even when you had those guys healthy, you were still losing the same way. You would get these leads, right, in the second half, and then you would lose whether you were winning by 10, 5, 7, 15.
Right.
You winning by that, you would wind up losing the game.
You'd squander it.
Right. When Porter was there, when Markkanen was there, Wendell Carter Jr., when everybody's healthy, you still lost the same way.
Right.
So it's not about, I'm not giving him any credit for that.
Okay.
I give you credit when you win.
Right.
Okay, I'm not giving you credit when you lose.
I get you. And what gets me, man, is that, and I started following the team, doing, training camp preseason, and it's the same message. We're just gonna get in the gym and work hard, these guys are playing hard. And I heard you say work hard. Everybody's playing hard. Everybody's working hard. We're gonna get back and we're gonna learn from this. And I'm saying you're past the halfway mark as far as games are concerned, and you're still repeating the same thing. So my question is, what are you learning and what are you working on? Because you're still the results are still the same, and they say if you continue to do the same thing and get the same results, what does that say?
I'll tell you crazy, man. Right? You're expecting different results, same thing, expect different results. Look, man, let me tell you this. It was my first year in the league. We changed coaches after the 15 mark, right?
Yeah.
We were 3-12, and they fired Larry Costello, and Don Nelson took over. And one thing that you knew about it, he came in that day when he took the job. He came into the gym. We were all sitting there waiting. And he said, hey, the shit has hit the fan. We're getting ready to change things around here. This culture is getting ready to change. We're going to play hard. I don't care. Anybody who comes in here, because we weren't ready in terms of our roster, but he said, you guys, everybody here can play hard. We're going to let them know when they come in here, you're going to have something to deal with. And you're going to have to deal with us because we're going to play hard. And I'll tell you, there was a couple teams that came in there that were really, really good, and we kicked their butts.
Who?
Because I won with San Antonio. Years ago with George Gervin and that group, Larry Keenan, what have you. I never forget they came in there. And I know they took us for granted.
Right.
We wasn't going nowhere fast or slow. We just wasn't going nowhere.
Right.
But we were beginning to learn how to play the game and play the game hard.
Right.
And we might have beat them about 20, sent them butts out of there, man.
There you
smoke,
go. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't see that with the Bulls. Because I want you to play hard. I know where we're at.
Right.
And they have a better roster than we had back then, I'll just say that.
Wow.
They should be playing much better now. You should be learning how to win.
Yeah.
You can't keep having these leads and not getting some success out of it. When is that going to happen?
Right.
When are we, as fans, going to be sitting on the edge of our seat? You know, we sitting on the edge of our seat saying, how are they going to lose this one?
That's it.
Surprise us once and win it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's not happening.
You're absolutely right, man. And, man, we can go on, and we will continue to go on and on every Thursday. We got the association with the podcast. Before we say goodbye, though, would you start Kobe White?
If things continue for the next 2 weeks, okay, in terms of them losing games, what have you, I'd turn it over to him. Now, and I don't think you're going to hurt yourself. You still got backup at the guard position, okay? I would give him some more minutes, give him some chances to make some decisions.
Yeah.
I like playing and learning. I don't like sitting and learning.
And that's my thing, because if you look at, Ja Morant, you look at some of these younger kids, Zion Williamson just getting, but he's getting, playing time, minutes are, monitored. You look at Trey, right? Ice Trey. I mean, these are first and second year players who are getting a lot of playing time because they have to learn in the NBA game. Yeah. And we know the type of talent that Kobe brings to the table. And I think, and I don't know if this is a Boylan call or if this is a front office call with John Paxson and Gar Forman, but to me, wherever it lies, they're making a mistake by not developing this kid, because he is a raw talent. He's electrifying, and I think he needs to be out there on the floor.
Well, let me say, I think he's still learning some things, but I think you slow his progression.
Sure.
And his development with limited minutes. If I'm not going anywhere, that's the thing. This is very, very touchy, because we just talked about being in a nice spot. You're close to being in the playoffs. All right, if you think that putting him in the lineup, right, is now going to put you over the hump in terms of being able to win games that you've been losing. Right. You have to think about that.
Right.
If it is, he needs to be in the lineup.
Right.
If it's not, then maybe you wait a little longer, but you want to give him significant time from being a starter. Right? Run your team. That's what I want to see. Can you actually do that? Right. And the only way you're going to be able to determine that is to put him in that position and get him to get the experience. Yeah. Let's see if he can do it. Right now it's, well, maybe, and we all want to see him do well. He was your number one pick. Give him a chance if you're not going to make the playoffs. That's my deal, and we'll continue to follow the Bulls, and we want you to continue to follow the association. Doc, it's always a pleasure, brother. Good stuff, my man. Thank you, my man. Jay. And we'll our fans. You want to check us out? SoundCloud, Spotify, the RewindSport60.com. You can check out the association with Dr. Lloyd Walton every Thursday. Have a great rest of your week. And Doc, peace. We'll be talking to everyone. Absolutely. Peace out.